Now that Alderman Stone mentioned that about the 23,000, I want to say when we get the funding, that of course we'll have a public meeting at a little bigger area and much more notice, and maybe each group will try to get the plans out or what we think the plan should be, and then so we can have as much community input. Well, again, I really feel strongly about this internet and this email, and we'll try to get as much input in what Devon Avenue should look like. Yesterday, Alderman Stoner and myself and some other members from the community went to Bolingbrook. Sunday we went there, and for a cricket match against a team from Indians and Pakistans. I see some of the people in the audience who were there. And again, the 2016 committee was instrumental in putting these games together to show the world that because of the diverse nature of Devon, with Indians, Hindus, Sikhs, Bangladeshis, Christian Jews living together, that the city is excited about providing money in some type of landscape, hopefully landscaping for Devon, and we left at the top of the first. I don't know who won the game. It was 76-0 at the top of the first inning or the first time.
But they had plenty of parking.
Which was an hour and a half, and I almost got it twice. But I just want to say, since Alderman Stone mentioned it, we will have public meetings. And now let's go back to the parking issue. And that was a little commercial. Thank you.
Okay, I've been here since Alderman Sperling was our alderman, but it's we were not really originally in favor of the permit parking. Being the first block off of Devon, we were inconvenienced, but when we didn't have parking, we'd go to the next block. Well, when they got permit parking, we didn't have a choice. We had to go for permit parking. And as the young man from the condominium association pointed out, there are multiple parking permits, and I do believe, Alderman Stone, when you want something to happen, you can make it happen. And I think for just 1 year, we could have one. I don't know where we're going to park. You know, when you come home with groceries, you know, it's hard enough even with the permit. It's not really enforced that much. But it's just, I don't know where we're going to go. And I do believe that if you wanted to get one big permit, I think you could do it, and I think that would solve it all, just even if it's only for 1 year. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
You're right that it has got a domino effect, which if it goes in one block, it automatically passes on to the next block. But so that's one of the reasons I want to study what Mike suggested. You?
Thanks. Alderman Stone, I wanted to ask you about your voting record in City Council on parking issues, and I kind of track the City Council, kind of a hobby.
I know you do.
Yeah. And I understand that your tenure predates the entire permit parking program.
Yeah.
And I'm also aware that in your tenure, you've never voted against any parking permit that's come before the City Council in the history of permit parking in Chicago, including multi-block permit parking zones, which we have in our ward and are elsewhere in the city, and you voted in favor of those. So my question is, on that issue, did you deliberately vote in favor of something that's illegal? You explained to us that it's illegal. So how did you?
I didn't say it was illegal. I just said that if I did it, I did it. No, I just said it's against the ordinance. I didn't say it was illegal. It's against.
Wait, 1 second. Please, could you let the alderman answer? I think he understands the question, the difference. But please, you don't have to yell or scream or make comments. Just let him answer you's question. It's a good question. Let the alderman have a chance to answer it.
It's against the intention of the ordinance, but I didn't say it's illegal. The reason I never vote against most cases, it's another ward. I'll never vote against an alderman in another ward. What it is in my ward, if it happened really by accident, because it had to be because I wasn't paying attention on it. But I'm going to look the other way as far as the suggestion by Mike because I think it's a good suggestion to expand it on a temporary basis. I just think it's a good idea to try and accommodate the people in the four zones. In the meantime, however, I don't vote against another alderman in other wards. I just don't do it. You're right.
Well, similarly, on the issue of overnight parking, there's many overnight parking zones in Chicago.
I won't, but never in the 50th ward.
When you voted in favor of them in other wards, did you vote against your own conscience, your own understanding of the parking?
No, I just voted because that's what the alderman wanted. I didn't say it was illegal. I just said it's not what's intended.
Well, why are these ideas like multi-block zones and overnight parking that work well in other areas of the city, why are they not applicable to the 50th ward where we live?
Because that's not what's intended by the ordinance.
So should we repeal? Should we repeal all these overnight parking permits and multi-block?
No, every alderman does what he wants. And look, understand how it started. It started actually it started at UIC. And it started down there because cars were parking, students were parking, and neighbors couldn't go to their homes. So the neighbors said, "Hey, we don't want the students parking in our spots." One neighbor, in fact, built a garage around the student's car. Actually came and put up the masonry around the car. So they started residential parking down there, and then the next one was White Sox Park and Northeastern University, and that's what started it. But in each case, it was during the day, and then it was at Wrigley Field, and that's when it started with multi-block areas, But never was it ever intended for overnight parking, because overnight parking was renting somebody the street for personal purposes. That's not what residential parking is, and it never was intended to be.
So just to clarify, when you vote in city council, you're just echoing whatever the local alderman wants. You're not voting your own conscience or
it
making
has nothing to do with conscience. You're voting what has nothing to do with conscience. You're voting what the local alderman thinks is good for his ward.
Even if it violates the intention of the law, or
even if it violates the intention of the law.
Okay.
Are you almost done?
Yeah, one more question here. Right. I'm starting to understand how city council votes a little better, so thanks for that. One more question. You mentioned that the intention of permit parking was not to provide private parking for individuals. Yes. Well, wouldn't lots of small districts kind of encourage people towards the sense of entitlement of parking in front of their building? And wouldn't a large zone accomplish the intention better?
What I explained before, and apparently you weren't listening, is the purpose of a small area is to allow the engineer to go out and check the area.
Did the engineer sign off on repealing these permit parkings?
No, but that's not. It wasn't necessary to have an engineer repeal.
Okay. If somebody else has a question, then you can ask another question after somebody else. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions or questions about permit parking?
Quick one, if you would.
Sure. I didn't introduce him before, of course. It's Greg Brewer, president of Citizens for Responsible Development.
I'm a resident on Rockwell, 3 blocks north of Devon. And
glad to have you.
Just related to the general parking issues, but not specifically parking, there was on Tallman, the east side of Tallman, just north of the alley, where a house was demolished and the owner wanted to use it for parking. I know neighbors objected to that for quite a while, and you supported them in that for some time. And I've heard, I don't know if it's correct, that you're now allowing that lot to be used for parking. Would you comment on that as well?
Yeah, that's also on a temporary basis.
So even though it's in violation of zoning and you've helped the owners
Yes.
resist it before, you've
and
said now that you'll just ignore the zoning and allow it.
Well, it's only being done on a temporary basis. As soon as the parking lot goes into existence, the fence will be put back up, and that will not be allowed to be used for parking purposes.
Can residents park there?
That's up to the
So,
owner.
but
It's up to the
illegal
owner.
uses are okay on a
That's up to
temporary
the owner.
basis. Is that right?
There's no sign or anything?
No, well, it's up to the owner.
And
Excuse me.
and just
Make a comment? Could you?
and
I'm
then
not
just
going to comment on it.
no, and just to follow with a quick comment and not to start a long discussion. The lawsuit is in fact not over. The next hearing is on Monday, and so we'll continue.
You're going to lose that one just like you lost the original. While we're talking about that, I want you to know between the moving the utility posts and the lawsuit, which Mr. Brewer is the one who encouraged these people to file the lawsuit. They were able to set the construction of the garage back a year and a half. And had he not had encouraged these people to file the lawsuit, that garage would have already been up, and this discussion wouldn't have been necessary.
And that's a real shame, isn't it, that it was able to go
Yeah,
on?
there is a real shame.
No, you don't understand. It's a real shame.
Yeah, it is a real shame.
Is there? Okay.
Let's talk about that. We're talking about a lawsuit that involved a subdivision in which every single lot except one violated the terms of this so-called setback.
That's incorrect.
Every single. Oh, the judge couldn't rule on it because you never presented the evidence. And I hate to tell you, you never presented the evidence because you failed to lay a foundation. I can't help it if your attorneys don't know the simplest basis of a lawsuit.
You're insulting, aren't you, Bernie?
Wait. Let me just. I don't think this was the reason why we had the meeting was to talk about the lawsuit. We're talking about parking. As far as the lawsuit goes, there must have been a motion to reconsider filed concerning the judge's decision. I don't think Mr. Brewer is talking about appeal. I don't know if he's going to lose. I don't know if he's going to lose. I don't know if he's going to win. But one thing for sure, when this is all over, we'll get a transcript. I don't know what was said at the hearing. I wasn't at the hearing. Probably most people were not there. And then if anyone wants to get a copy of the transcript, not an edited copy, but just every single page of the trial, if anybody's interested, I'm sure we can make it available. Then we could see for ourselves, was the judge's, we could look for ourselves right or wrong. And even then, we may not know right or wrong because it'll be our personal opinion. But at least we'll have the facts in front of us. At least we'll have what was told the judge, what objections were made, what evidence was produced, and then we can all make our own decision. If Mr. Brewer says that it's motion reconsideration, the case is not over until the judge makes a ruling, and they have a perfect right to do that. But I'll try to get, I think other people will try to get, and I myself will also, because I want to see it's affected this area. I like to see what was said, what wasn't said. And again, even after reading the transcript, I'm sure it would just be a personal opinion based upon what the judge said or the different attorneys said. I've been in cases where I've won and I've lost, and I walked out of the courtroom saying that judge is crazy. But unfortunately, he's the judge. But I'd like to get the whole transcript. I'd like everyone to be able to read it. I'll put it on the web. I'll make it available. I'm sure other people will be making it available. And then we'll see whether or not you individually, and of course everyone will have their own individual decision to make, whether or not you think were there any facts to be considered in filing this lawsuit. And then we'll just leave it at that. And until that time comes, until the motion reconsider is decided, we'll just let it lie. And again, this meeting was not called about the lawsuit, even though the lawsuit did affect, of course, the building of the garage, right or wrong. We can't deny that. and then we'll just continue on. So is there any more questions about the parking? One second, if you have a question, one second. Before, and everyone knows Mr. Devlin, he does a great job on the blogs, but does anybody who has not talked ask the question? Who wants to ask a question? Yes, this sir right here. Then after him, you can talk.
Yes, I live just around the corner on Tallman. I was extremely surprised to hear you say that the permit parking on our block will be suspended for a whole year. You follow that by saying that the parking garage will only be 6 months. And then later you said that it's been set back a year and a half. Now, no parking garage takes longer than 6 months to build, even huge ones. Wouldn't it be more practical to suspend it for 6 months, and then if they're late, to give another 6 months? This gives them a blank check to let this go on forever.
Believe me, they're working as fast as can be. I expect it to be actually less than 6 months.
You don't know.
No, nobody can tell you because it depends on the weather.
Why give them a year?
Because you take the most time and you do it less.
The least time.
No.
Pressure off. Renew it.
No.
Okay.
Renew it.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who has not asked a question? Okay, if not, you go ahead, ask another question.
Yeah, thanks. I heard that, Alderman, I heard that you asked the commander of the 24th not to enforce the permit parking. Is that true?
Not true.
Okay, thanks.
You have to go to the microphone. Sure. So now we're going to the second round. I think the second round. I think maybe another 15, 20 minutes. Even though we took the time from till 9 o'clock, but if we're going to end it, we'll end it.
It seems to me that there was a lack of community input in the building of in the planning of the garage anyway. We were told that this was in a done deal. Your exact words, Alderman Stone, were this is a done deal. That's the very first time I heard about it years ago. Now, you say community involvement is, something that you really work towards and everything. If you're talking about the revitalization of Devon or the redesign of Devon, how much community input are you going to allow with that, and how do we really ensure that the residents of the community have an equal share of input that is actually considered?
The first hearing on the garage was about 8 years ago. What? The first hearing on the garage was 8 years ago. It was held in the basement of what is now Chase Bank, or Bank One. And it was during the hearings on creating the TIF for Devon Western. And that was one of the first hearings that involved the garage. There was 2 other hearings on the garage, public hearings at which people attended. The TIF was discussed over a period of about 2 or 3 years. One of the holdups in the TIF was the fact that some of the businessmen on Devon felt that their property was going to be taken as a result of the TIF under eminent domain. There is no provision for eminent domain in the TIF. In the meantime, there was a series of hearings over a long period of time regarding the garage. The contractor who was supposedly tied to me was not picked by me. It was done under a request for proposal submitted by the Department of Planning of the City of Chicago. 3 bidders bid on the request for proposal. 3 bidders.
3 proposals from 2 bidders.
3 bidders bid on the proposal. 1 pulled their bid out, and that was Moffat Patel and his partner. The other was, I forgot his name, and Siddiqui was the 3rd bidder, and Siddiqui was awarded the bid. And I had nothing. I never had met Siddiqui up until that time, and Siddiqui was the winner. So that's what happened, and the plan was changed at least a half a dozen times during the course of the various hearings and by the various departments, including the Department of Transportation. The original plan called for the garage opening to be on Devon. It is now on Rockwell. But there was a series of hearings on this. So when you say how much public input, a lot of public
Okay, then
input.
let me clarify that then by saying that the first time we had ever heard anything from our alderman was the words, "It's a done deal." That's the first thing we heard from the alderman's office.
Well, I don't know what you're referring to, but if you're saying it's a done deal, it's a done deal after all of these hearings. Yeah, it was a done deal by that time. But in the meantime, for instance, the original plan called for a tunnel for the alley, and that was changed by the Department of Planning with the vacation of the alley. I had no input on any of that planning. I had no input on most of the garage planning. That was done by mostly that was done by the Department of Planning. I had no input on it.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anybody else? Mike, you're going to ask another question?
Yeah, just one follow-up. Alderman Stone, I just wanted to thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate the fact that you're going to consider what it is that I suggested. I just wanted to get a sense of the time frame. How long will that consideration period take, and how can I find out what the result of your decision would be?
It may happen very quickly, like maybe tomorrow.
Okay, so Mike, would you send an email out, or how would we know?
If possible, tomorrow's a council meeting. If I can do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. If I can't do it tomorrow, then what I'll do is I'll do it by requesting that the traffic chairman, which is Pat O'Connor, do it by get commissioner's authority to do it, which will do it very quickly. But I'll try and do it as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to follow up on my neighbor Jennifer Albin's question. She kind of got cut off. She was trying to learn more about the aldermanic menu money. And I'd like to follow up by asking, what is your process for determining how to spend the aldermanic menu money? And can you kind of describe your process and the community involvement in that process with using the...
There is no community involvement. I make the decisions.
Why not?
Wait.
I answered your question. That there is no community involved. I don't have to answer that question.
We don't answer anything anymore.
Okay. Wait, hold on.
So is there any accountability?
I'm really sorry. Let me interrupt you. I apologize. No, one second. Mr. Viscotti, please don't yell out during these answers because you could. Okay, you may feel that way, but at least wait. Just wait. You can wait. Talk to the alderman after the meeting, but you're right here in front. Mr. Delvin's trying to ask questions, and the alderman's trying to answer.
Honestly, the community involvement is people ask me for different work to be done in their community. We write down everything that people ask us for. I make a judgment based on what they've asked for. We actually ride around, like if people ask for curbing, we actually ride around and look at what they ask for. We do that on curbing, we do that on alleys, we do that on all items that people ask for. I make a judgment, but the judgments are made by me. And I make judgments and I decide. I don't put it up for a vote with any community organizations. I don't put it up with any supposed group that I may create. I make the decision. That's what I'm elected to do, and that's what I do. Now, some aldermen go through a fake process of creating some phony board which they appoint the people to, and then they give them instructions what to decide. I don't go through that fake bullshit. Excuse my expression.
Okay.
But I do what I do. I make the decisions. That's what I'm elected to do, and that's what I do.
Well, some of those...
I hope we don't get fined for that. That's all.
Some of those...
I don't want to pay the money. Wait, okay.
So,
Okay, what's that?
yeah.
Okay.
Some of those aldermen that have processes they seem to be quite proud of that process. You're saying those are all fake? All those processes are
Let
fake?
me tell you something, I've seen them come and go, and I'm still there.
Okay.
So,
all right. Okay.
So, thanks for your explanation of your process. I understand that people come to you and they get put on a list. Can you illustrate your process with particular reference to the $1.4 million that went to the 49th Ward, the Gale Park? What was the process there?
$1.4 million did not go to Gale Park for the 50th Ward. I don't care what those papers show. It did not come from the 50th Ward. You can take all your papers out that you want. It did not come from the 50th Ward.
According to the city council minutes, sir, that's what it says.
I don't care what it says.
This is incorrect?
It's incorrect.
Alderman Stone, 1.4 million.
I know what it says.
You do?
That's incorrect.
Somebody's going to have to revise the minutes, I guess.
Alderman Stone, that listing also shows that you voted in favor of this incorrect thing.
That's absolutely right.
So it says 1.4 million. It's incorrect, and you voted in favor of it. Did you raise any objection to it at the time? And
I was happy to help Alderman Moore.
So who came to you and asked you for the 1.4 million? So you are saying you did help Alderman Moore,
Yes.
but it's not 1.4 million?
No.
Well, what was it then?
I don't recall.
Okay.
You don't recall?
Okay. You made your point with 1.4. You'll look it up, I'm sure, in the records, or you'll find out.
It's right there. I already did.
Let somebody. Does anybody else have I just want to know if anybody else has a question. We don't want to make this.
I'm happy to help him.
Yeah. Okay. So who came to you and asked you to?
I don't recall.
Was it somebody from outside the ward? People from outside the ward can come to office hours and ask for money?
I made the decision.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you very much. If there's, I guess this no more questions. I guess we have a half an hour left. I guess this will be blank space on the internet. I just want to again say thank Amy and the chamber for allowing us to come here tonight and to use the area. As Alderman said, we're trying to get some more money from the city to help landscape and maybe even streetscape Devon Avenue. When we do that, we'll have many public meetings, I imagine. And that's one of the reasons why we made this group that we're sponsoring this meeting. Again, Mohammed Kokar was here from the board. Rabbi Alan Abramson, the other people could not be here. I think it was, we have one more question, but I want to say I think this was a very good meeting. I think we should have other meetings like this. Whether we agree or disagree, at least everybody knows where everybody stands, and everybody knows where the questions are. And if we give this the last question, and then we'll say goodnight for the evening.
Well, it's one thing I've noticed since we've had the parking permit is that we don't have all the trash on our lawns. Okay, that's been the biggest. It's been a glorious. I mean, I'm not saying there's never anything there, but since we have that, the people are not throwing their garbage on our lawns, dirty diapers and things like that. If we don't get some relief on the parking, could we at least get some of these people that pick up the garbage on Devon and that at least come down those blocks and police those blocks for us then? I mean,
That's
that's the people that are cleaning up down the street. That's from the SSA. That by law they can only work. And I know it seems like an excuse for everything. The law, but you have to be very careful with the money. We bid that out. We have different people who bid on it, and then they said we will do this amount of work for this amount of money. So once the bid was taken, it's not done by the city money, but it's done by SSA money. We can't tell them to work anywhere else because we have a contract to a certain area.
SSA is a special service.
Right, area, and then
you can't change the area.
Well, we can't change the area is the area with the SSA, and then we can't change the contract. We can't just like say now, hey, tomorrow, next week, can you go over here, go over there?
We get garbage cans set on our blocks, at least so that we.
Well, I don't know if that's with the SSA. That might be.
No, I'm asking the alderman. Can we get like trash barrels on?
The trouble with the trash barrels is I have no crews to pick up from them. I can't. If we give you the trash barrel, who's going to pick up? I have no. No, the garbage man can't pick up because there's no crews available.
Can't do anything except what he wants.
Okay. The alderman's here for any other questions, but is there if no other questions, then...
A totally separate non-parking question.
Well, what's that? So let's end the meeting, and then you can ask him a question after that. All right. Again, thank you very much for coming.